courage to freedom, from freedom to prosperity, from prosperity, unfortunately, to apathy, and from apathy eventually back into bondage again. Now, I've left out a leg or two of that thing, but you get the idea. And it's not hard to see right now where America is on the democracy meter, you know, or the lifespan of it. We're a little over 235 years old. Societies usually begin their collapse or finish their collapse by around 300 years, roughly speaking. And so if we don't do something to turn our government around, I think the path we're on is clear, and it's just going to take an awakening. And we've seen some awakening in this country. The much vilified Tea Party that the media has vilified is every day Mr. Lunchbucket, soccer mom saying, wait a minute, we see what's going on now and we don't like this and we'd like to do something about it. They don't go around desecrating flags like that other group is,
Occupy?
you know, but you know, I've you know, met with the groups, intermingled with the groups, and just found them to be solid,
Tea Party.
pro-family, pro-American people, carrying flags, waving flags, wearing symbols about freedom, about the in many cases, the godly inheritance of this country. You know, not just the opposite. You know, not that we see with the occupied people. What did Ronald Reagan said? They don't need socialism in heaven, and they already have it in hell. Something like that. I mean, you know.
I see a real live congressman thing, bill, right on your desk. Look at that. Whoa, this is like real. Hi. This is the first time I've ever been in a congressman's office in my whole life.
You want to know about that bill?
Yes, I do.
7 times, at least 7 times in the history of the United States, there's been a question about the eligibility of the President of the United States to hold office. The requirements are age, residency, and citizenship. And it said you must be a natural-born citizen
What does that mean?
to serve as president.
Both parents are citizens?
Well, the Supreme Court interprets that. The point is, 7 times in history, there have been issues about that. Our 21st president, Chester A. Arthur, was thought to have been born in Canada. But in those days, people didn't have birth certificates. And he refused to talk about the issue publicly. So there wasn't much anybody did about it. Charles Curtis, the vice president of Herbert Hoover, had Hoover died in office, it would have caused quite a controversy because he was born in Kansas, sure enough, Curtis was, when it was a territory, not a state. Moving right along, George Romney, who once ran for president, Mitt's father, was born in Mexico, where his parents were missionaries. Barry Goldwater, the great conservative from Arizona, territory when he was born, not a state. Lowell Weicker, Paris, France. And several others you can find on Wikipedia. And then, of course, along came John McCain, who was born in the Panama Canal Zone, where his father was serving in the military. And Clinton's campaign staff made that an issue. Said he doesn't meet the natural-born citizen. They were the original birthers. I'm called the original birther now, but you know, I'm a piker compared to Hillary. And then, of course, that was so important to discuss McCain's eligibility that the Senate Homeland Security Homeland Security Committee convened a special emergency meeting to discuss whether or not McCain should be eligible to have his name on the ballot for then U.S. Senator Barack Obama to be one of 3 co-sponsors of a non-binding resolution to declare McCain eligible to be on the ballot. And then, of course, you've got the eligibility of the current president, which was a question. The reality is that a portion of the Constitution is meaningless if it's not implemented by law. The Constitution says we have a constitutional amendment, for example, that gives women the right to vote. But if it's not in law, implementing that change in the law, women wouldn't be voting because there wouldn't be provisions. You implement your Constitution by law. That's how you enforce your Constitution. You respect your Constitution by law. There was never any implementation of the presidential eligibility requirements. So H.R. 1723 sought to do that in the future so that this will not come up a 9th, 10th, or 11th time.
Okay. So what's it gonna say?
Well, I filed it last session. It did not get a hearing. There was a large, massive attack by the liberal media. I think Oberman, because of that legislation, named me the worst person in the world.
Oh, he named me that one week.
Well,
And I'm not even on the
right.
Hill.
And then Colbert actually used the F word to describe the relationship. He says my grandmother must have had with an alligator to come up with the likes of me. So the tolerant, loving, kind, pure left
They're so tolerant.
went totally nuts.
I know.
You know, and we ended up getting a dozen co-sponsors, but it took a while. Nobody was anxious to put their name on it, and but 4 courageous people, or a dozen other courageous people, eventually did step up and say, "Hey, count me in." Hundreds of people said, "Hey, you're doing the right thing. Good luck," but they weren't interested in being a co-sponsor when they saw the kind of heat the media brought on it. But,
I'm afraid. Well, I'm a birther and I'm proud of it. That is the fakest birth certificate I've ever seen in my life. Also, he has a false identity, and his best friend William Ayers knows how to do that because he's a terrorist on the run most of his life. But anyway, I want to ask you about Agenda 21.
okay, ask me.
Smart meters. Have they come to Florida yet? And can I rip mine out of the wall because I don't believe in it?
Don't know.
Okay. Agenda 21. Save the minnow, destroy the farmlands in Central Valley, California because of the global warming lie and the radical environmentalism that is being used to make America a third world country. Got any ideas about that?
No, I agree pretty much with what you said. It's like cap and trade, the national energy tax. People are shocked when they learn how cap and trade really works.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah, and when you talk to a group, if I talk to a group of 100 people, say, how many here know how cap and trade works? About 3 people raise their hand, and they don't understand it. They will explain it and say, well, that means trying to save the environment from global warming, that if I use more energy than my neighbor does, then I just trade off some energy credits with him so that we just don't use more energy. It's just kind of a balancing act.
All based on fake science and a lie anyway.
Well, you know, if we've had at least 3 ice ages, and some scientists say 5, you cannot have 5 seamless ice ages. You must warm up between, you know, to have them. I mean, the Earth has had tornadoes, hurricanes,
Earthquakes.
volcanic eruptions, tectonic plate shifts, meteor strikes, asteroid strikes
Before humans.
for millions of years, and it's not going to stop just because we're here now. You know, now when you think back 20 years ago, the worry was global freezing. We're going to freeze again. We're going to have another ice age.